Obina will not escape today.
Miss Chidinma was a woman everyone in her street knew not because of her wealth or family background, but because of her strikingly unusual looks. She was slim, with bulging eyes that seemed a little too big for her face, and lips fuller than what most would call ordinary. Many people in the neighborhood whispered about her appearance, and some even laughed openly whenever she passed by. Yet, beyond her looks, Chidinma had something far more valuable, a good heart. She was kind, respectful, and hard-working. She ran a small but successful provision shop at the corner of the street, where she sold household items, snacks, and drinks. Many families in the area depended on her shop for their daily needs, and she always attended to customers with warmth and patience. But there was a silent ache in Chidinma's heart. She was approaching 30, and no suitor had come her way. Every wedding she attended, every naming ceremony she saw, only reminded her of what she lacked. Her closest friend was Ngozi, a cheerful married woman with 2 children. Ngozi and Chidinma had grown up together, and despite their different fortunes in marriage, their bond remained strong. One afternoon, as Chidinma closed her shop for the day, she walked to Ngozi's compound. The sound of Ngozi's children playing in the yard made her heart soften. Sitting under the mango tree, she sighed and spoke. "Ngozi, I don't know why men are not seeing me," she said, her voice heavy with sadness. Ngozi, who was folding baby clothes, looked at her friend and smiled gently. "Chidinma, don't worry. Your husband will come one day. God's time is always the best." Chidinma nodded, but her eyes betrayed her doubt. Every day that passed seemed like a reminder that time was slipping away. It was around this period that a young man named Obina moved into the neighborhood. Obinna was tall, dark-skinned, and carried himself with quiet confidence. Obinna was not the kind of man who passed unnoticed. He was tall, broad-shouldered, and carried himself with a natural confidence. His deep voice and easy laughter often drew people to him. Though he had only recently moved into Ngozi's compound, everyone was already talking about the handsome new tenant. He came from a village far away, posted to the town as a secondary school teacher. Unlike many men, Obinna was not particularly loud or boastful, but when he spoke, people listened. One sunny afternoon, Miss Chidinma decided to visit her best friend Ngozi. Her wrapper swayed lightly as she walked into the compound, and just before she reached Ngozi's door, she noticed Obina sitting with a few young men under the mango tree. They were laughing and talking freely about the kind of women they admired. Chidinma slowed her steps, curiosity pulling her ears toward their gist. One of the men said, "Me, I can't marry a woman that is not fine. Beauty first before anything else." Another laughed and added, "Abeg, give me beauty and money join. That's all I need." But Obina leaned back in his chair, shaking his head. "For me, facial appearance no matter much. I don't care whether she's fine or not. What I want is a woman with big bom-bom and big breasts. That one day important for me." The men roared with laughter, teasing him for his boldness. Chidinma froze where she stood, her eyes widening. She whispered to herself, her heart pounding. "So, there are men who don't care about facial beauty? Whoa! I have seen a husband for myself." For the first time in a long while, hope lit up inside her chest. She adjusted her wrapper quickly and continued walking toward Ngozi's door, her steps lighter now. She knocked gently, and Ngozi opened the door with her usual bright smile. "Chidinma, you are here already." Chidinma smiled, hiding her excitement. Yes, my friend, how are you and the family? Ngozi stepped aside to let her in. We are fine, ooh, thank God. But Chidinma couldn't hold her tongue. She leaned closer, her eyes sparkling. Ngozi, you get one man I see inside your compound. Ngozi laughed knowingly. You mean that tall, handsome man? Yes, Chidinma replied quickly, her cheeks flushing. Ngozi nodded. He just moved in newly. His name is Obina. Chidinma sat down, her voice almost a whisper but full of determination. Ngozi, I like that man. I will do everything possible to win him over. Ngozi burst into laughter, shaking her head. Chidinma, calm down, that man is not your spec at all. Leave him. But Chidinma only smiled, her mind already racing with plans. Don't worry, my friend. Now my man be that. From that day, Chidinma could not get Obina's words out of her head. I don't care about facial beauty. All I want is a woman with big bom-bom and big breasts. It replayed in her mind like a song. Every time she arranged goods in her provision shop, every time she lay down to sleep, those words burned deep in her thoughts. One evening, she sat with Ngozi in her parlor, fidgeting with her scarf. Ngozi, you heard me that day. That Obina is the man I want. But you know me now, slim, flat, nothing in front, nothing at the back. How do I even start? Ngozi, who was folding clothes, looked at her friend and sighed. She loved Chidinma, but she also knew how desperate she had become about marriage. Instead of scolding her, she leaned closer and whispered, My friend, this is what you will do. If na shape he they find, then give him the shape. These days women they use padded brazier way get foam. Your breast go stand well. And for back, there are body shapers, hip pads, and fake bom-bom way go give you curve. If Obinna see you like that, he go notice you. Chidinma's eyes lit up with excitement. Ngozi, you mean I can buy those things? Yes, nah, Ngozi replied. In the market, dem they sell 'em plenty. Some girls even sew extra foam inside wrapper. All na packaging. Men no sabi difference again. Chidinma clapped her hands together and laughed nervously. Ngozi, you are a lifesaver. I must catch that man. The very next day, Chidinma closed her shop earlier than usual and went straight to the market. She bought 2 heavy padded bras that promised to increase her chest size, and a set of hip and butt pads that could be worn under her clothes. When she got home and tried them on in front of the mirror, she gasped at her reflection. Her once flat chest now looked full, and her backside curved boldly beneath her skirt. For the first time, Chidinma felt like she could compete with other women. She twirled in front of the mirror and whispered, Obina, you must see me now. The following Sunday afternoon, Chidinma prepared herself like never before. She wore one of her best-fitted gowns, the kind that hugged her figure. Underneath, the padded bra pushed her chest up proudly, while the foam hip and butt pads gave her a full curve at the back. She tied a bright red scarf that matched her lipstick and added a touch of powder to smoothen her skin tone. When she finished dressing, she looked into the mirror and almost didn't recognize herself. Ayan, now I look like a real woman. Obinna will not escape today. She picked up her handbag, locked her shop and headed straight to Ngozi's compound, where she knew Obinna often sat on weekends. As she walked in, the men under the mango tree turned their heads one after the other. The same boys who once mocked her bulging eyes and slim figure now whistled softly, nodding in admiration. Obina, seated with a newspaper in his hand, raised his eyes and froze for a moment. He had seen Chidinma before, but not like this. She looked different. "Good afternoon," Chidinma greeted, her voice unusually sweet. Obinna cleared his throat, trying not to stare too long. "Good afternoon. You're Ngozi's friend, right?" Chidinma smiled, her padded chest rising proudly. "Yes, I'm Chidinma. I just came to greet Ngozi." "All right, she's inside," Obina replied, but his eyes betrayed curiosity. Chidinma walked past slowly, swaying her waist deliberately so the foam pads would announce their presence. As she knocked on Ngozi's door, she whispered under her breath, "Ngozi, it don't happen. He looked at me. He noticed me." Inside the house, Ngozi was setting food on the table. Chidinma rushed in, giggling like a schoolgirl. "Ngozi, he saw me. His eyes followed me." Ngozi laughed and shook her head. "Now you sabi, my friend. Just remember, packaging can attract, but character is what will keep a man." But Chidinma was no longer listening. For the first time in years, she felt Obina's eyes on her, and that was all that mattered. From that day onward, Chidinma became a frequent visitor to Ngozi's compound. At first, she came once or twice a week. Then it became almost every evening. She would bring small gifts for Ngozi's children, biscuits, sweets, or soft drinks, just to have an excuse to linger around. Each time, she carefully dressed in her special package, padded braziers that made her chest look full, and the hip pads that gave her the figure she never had. The neighbors began to notice her sudden transformation. Some whispered, others laughed behind her back, but Chidinma paid them no mind. Her eyes were fixed on one man, Obina. Whenever she walked into the compound, she made sure her steps were slow and deliberate. If Obina was outside, she greeted him warmly with her brightest smile. If he wasn't, she would wait until he came out, pretending to play with Ngozi's children or help Ngozi in the kitchen. Ngozi quickly caught on. One evening, as Chidinma adjusted her scarf in front of the mirror, Ngozi teased her, "My friend, you don't even hide it again. It's like you now live in my compound. Is it me you're visiting or Obina?" Chidinma laughed, her eyes sparkling. "Ngozi, I beg leave me. You don't understand. That man must notice me." And notice her, he did. At first, Obina only responded politely to her greetings. But as the days turned into weeks, he began to see more. He noticed how she always carried herself with confidence, how she spoke softly to Ngozi's children, and how her laughter filled the air like music. Yes, her figure caught his eye too, but there was something about her presence that kept drawing him in. One evening, as Chidinma was about to leave, Obina called out from under the mango tree, "Chidinma?" She stopped, her heart skipping. "Yes, Obina?" He smiled gently, lowering the newspaper in his hand. "You always come here, and I realize I don't know much about you. Can we talk for a while?" Chidinma's knees almost buckled. This was the moment she had prayed for, the moment her padded bras and foam hips had worked toward. She sat down carefully, adjusting her gown, and replied with a soft smile, "Yes, I'd like that." As they began to talk, Chidinma's heart soared. At last, Obina had noticed her. That evening under the mango tree marked the beginning of something new. Chidinma and Obina talked for nearly an hour. Their conversation was simple at first, about Ngozi's children, about the neighborhood, and about his new teaching job. But as the days passed, the talks grew longer and deeper. Obina discovered that behind Chidinma's shy smiles was a hard-working woman who had built her provision shop from scratch. She told him stories of how she would wake up at dawn to go to the market, how she managed customers, and how she even saved enough to expand her shop. "You're a strong woman, Chidinma," Obina said one evening, truly impressed. "Not every woman can run a business the way you do." Those words warmed Chidinma's heart. For once, someone was seeing her value beyond her looks. On her part, Chidinma admired Obina's calmness and intelligence. He often spoke about his passion for teaching, how he loved to shape the minds of young students. Sometimes, when the compound was quiet, he would share with her his dreams of building a small library in the village one day. The more they talked, the more Chidinma felt connected to him. At night, she would replay their conversations in her mind and smile to herself. She started looking forward to evenings at Ngozi's compound more than anything else. Ngozi, watching quietly from the sidelines, noticed the bond forming between them. One evening, after Obina left to attend a school meeting, she teased Chidinma. My friend, your eyes are always shining when you talk to Obina. Be careful, ooh, love is catching you." Chidinma blushed, covering her face with her scarf. "Ngozi, leave me alone. I just enjoy talking to him, that's all." But in her heart, she knew it was more than that. Gradually, Obina began to show little gestures of care. He would buy her roasted corn from the roadside, help her carry heavy loads when he found her coming from the market, or sit by her shop in the evenings, keeping her company while she attended to customers. People in the neighborhood started to notice. Whispers filled the air. Some were surprised that Obina, the tall, handsome teacher, was often seen with Chidinma, the same woman many had mocked for her looks. But others admired their closeness, calling it a strange kind of love story. For Chidinma, it felt like a dream come true. She was finally being seen, cherished, and valued. Yet, deep inside, a small voice of fear remained. What if one day Obina finds out that my curves are not real? What if he discovers the truth behind my bom-bom and chest? But instead of facing the fear, she pushed it aside and allowed herself to enjoy the sweetness of their growing friendship. In a small community, nothing stays hidden for long. And so it wasn't long before tongues began wagging about the new closeness between Chidinma and Obina. At first, people were shocked. This was the same Chidinma they had called ugly, the same woman with bulging eyes and slim frame that children sometimes teased in the street. Now, she was often seen laughing and walking beside the tall, handsome teacher. To many, it felt impossible. Women at the borehole whispered as they fetched water. Can you imagine? That Obina that just moved in, always following Chidinma around. Maybe na juju she used for How else will a fine man like that be looking at her? Men at the palm wine joint argued over it too. That teacher no get eye at all. Out of all the fine girls in this village, na Chidinma him choose today follow. Maybe she get money. I hear say her provision shop they sell well. Na money the man they find. Even children, innocent as they were, sometimes sang mocking songs when Chidinma passed, teasing her about catching the fine teacher. But not everyone mocked. Some admired. Older women, watching quietly from their doorsteps, would shake their heads and say, "People don't understand love. Maybe that teacher is seeing something others don't see. At least the girl has a good heart." Ngozi, who knew both sides of the story, the real Chidinma and the packaged version, found herself in a difficult position. She wanted her friend to be happy, but she also feared what might happen if Obina discovered the truth. Chidinma, people are talking, ooh, she warned one evening. Let them talk, Chidinma snapped, then softened her voice. Ngozi, do you know how long I've waited for this? Let them laugh. I don't care. Obina is mine. And so the gossip continued to spread, some mocking, some praising. But one thing was certain. The whole village was watching closely. Obina was not a man easily swayed by gossip. As the days went by and whispers filled the village, he only grew more comfortable in showing his affection for Chidinma. One evening, after school, he strolled to her provision shop. She was busy arranging crates of minerals outside when he appeared with his usual smile. Chidinma, you work too hard, he said, reaching to help her lift a heavy crate. Let me help you. She laughed nervously, brushing the sweat from her forehead. Ah, Obina, don't mind me, I'm used to it. Well, now you're not alone, he replied warmly. Customers passing by raised their eyebrows, the tall teacher helping Chidinma carry crates. By nightfall, the news had already spread across the street. Days later, he began stopping by her shop regularly, sometimes just to sit with her and gist. He would buy groundnuts or roasted plantain from hawkers and share them with her as they chatted about everything, life, family, and dreams. One afternoon, when a group of young men passed by and started snickering at the sight of them together, Obina turned sharply and said, "Is there a problem?" The boys scattered, embarrassed. Chidinma's heart swelled with pride. For once, someone stood up for her openly. Then came the real surprise. During the village women's meeting day, Obina walked into the square, holding 2 bottles of malt in his hand. He went straight to Chidinma's table and dropped them with a smile. "For my friend," he said, loud enough for others to hear. The women gasped, whispering among themselves. To publicly give her a gift in such a setting was no small thing. It was a bold statement. Chidinma blushed so hard she covered her face with her wrapper. That night, she could barely sleep. For the first time in her life, she felt like she was being claimed, defended, and celebrated. Ngozi watched all this with mixed feelings. She was happy for her friend, but she also worried deeply. Each time Obina's affection grew, she would ask herself, what will happen the day he finds out the truth that the body he admires so much is nothing but foam and padding? But for now, Chidinma was lost in the sweetness of love, unconcerned with what lay ahead. The closer Obina drew to her, the more anxious Chidinma became. She loved the attention. She loved the way he defended her in public, and she loved how his eyes always followed her curves. But at the back of her mind, fear whispered, what if one day he touches me and finds out the truth? What if he notices that my curves are only foam and padding?
If you enjoyed this video, don't just stop here. Hit that notification bell so you never miss any of our new uploads. Thank you so much for watching. Your love and your support means the world to me. I truly appreciate every single one of you. Stay tuned, more exciting videos are coming your way. Much love always.